These headphones real quick. Let's get it. Shalom, shalom, shalom. I see y'all joining in here real quick. Let's see.
If you like the show, like, subscribe, or share the video. There's also donation links in the description.
All right,
guys.
guys. Say what?
We're on.
Awesome Jew, man.
We are the battle here. We have the
Yes.
battle of who is the real Jew.
Who is the real
Who's
Jew?
the real Jew out of you two? Let's see.
Man, guys,
What do you say?
dude, I'm like about to like literally be a live example of every Jewish stereotype, and you're gonna be like,
Oh, we know. Oh, we
who's
know,
the
Adam.
Jew?
We
Who's
already
the Jew?
figured
So
that
when
out.
you
You've
say,
already
like, the
asked
Jew-
for
All right,
six
hold on.
water,
Here's the first. Well, here's the first Jew moment, right? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niheh b'dvaro.
Yeah, when you say you the real Jew, right? When you say, excuse me, you're gonna be the stereotypical Jew. You mean like all of the normal stereotypes that we have of Jewish people? You embody that?
Have you ever been to Israel?
Yes, but can you answer the question though?
No, I actually don't think that I do.
Oh, so you don't embody
I
like
just think it's
the
funny
baby
to, like-
penises? You don't embody that?
That's crazy.
Oh, we're gonna have a lot of
We're
conversation.
going right into it.
And just for the record,
Stop fucking around with your filming there, Adam.
been a while
And let's
since I've
do the
had
show.
one of
Let's
these
do the
type
show,
of
Adam.
conversations.
Hey guys, I'm demonetized everywhere. So if you want to support me and
Copy it. Are we running on the
show's
show?
running
too?
on,
Welcome,
yeah.
Okay,
everybody.
good.
Welcome.
So-
Hold on. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Shalom. Grateful to have y'all in here. It's been a minute since I streamed, so I wanted to hop in and do a little something, keep y'all on y'all's toes, switch it up a little bit, as well as, just do a reaction. This is something that I've seen in the past, and I wanted to, get my takes on it as I'm watching it. So I know Tzaryach does a pretty good job as far as bringing the word out and contending the faith. And Jake Shields, I've watched his fights and stuff before. I think I didn't know he had a podcast, so I thought it would make sense for me to go ahead and just pop in and see what they're talking about. Apparently, this is a debate between Tzaryach and a guy named Adam the Jew. I've actually looked around to see who this guy is, and I couldn't find him anywhere else. But obviously, he is somebody who is considered themselves an ish person. So you know what I mean if you know what I mean. So I don't want to hold this up. We're going to hop in here. I ain't going to be live too long. I just wanted to pop in. Again, I wanted to thank y'all for hopping in here. So let's check it out.
I brought you a copy of my book.
let me see.
This is actually a not for resale author's copy. I signed it for you. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob guide you in all your journeys. Adam
So
King.
this Jewish book is allowed on Amazon, you say, right?
I actually hit #1 on
Yeah.
Amazon.
But
Thank God.
When
course he
Kyrie
did.
shared
2 days
a DVD on
after.
Amazon, he couldn't play basketball.
And he paid $500,000 now to go beg you some rabbis.
Yeah, that's
Listen,
crazy.
You want
see
me?
the
Should I?
biasness? That's the biasness.
Should I get on the phone right now and call like the Jewish
I'm
council?
pretty sure you
and,
could.
like,
That's why you #1.
I didn't even know Kyrie had to pay $500,000. That's wild. It is crazy. I do remember when that was happening, and it was kind of like stirred up in the media. It's very odd if you look back at it. Like, why is that something that even happened? Like, you got a dude who just over here playing basketball decides to, just leave a link. He didn't even like promote the book for real. He just dropped the Hebrews to Negroes link on, I think it was his Twitter or something like that, and that was enough to get him canceled. And I hate that term cancel, but I mean, they pretty much brought it into existence by pulling the plug on anything you had going at the time if they felt like you were somebody that was pushing the opposition pertaining to what they saw was the thing that should have been there, whatever you call it. So, or what they feel like the agenda was. But yeah, super weird time.
On Amazon, you probably
Also, I'm not going to keep stopping it, but is anybody noticing how, like, the hats, they keep getting bigger? The hats keep getting bigger. The yarmulkes, they keep getting bigger.
called.
This is why people take out their anger on like Yossi the falafel guy at the corner.
don't
They're
even know
like,
who that
this
is.
poor Jewish random guy
Yeah.
who sells falafels on the corner. They're like, he must know the elders of Zion who
That's
banned
right.
Kyrie's book.
Because
He
that's
must
the
know
only
him.
way you got
do you,
number
must
one.
know
but do you agree
him.
that's crazy how they just like fined him and banned him?
Yeah,
Just think
I'm
about it.
hoping.
I'm trying to
Listen,
stand by it, by the way,
listen.
but that is a good point, bro.
They find Kyrie, vilify Kyrie, do everything against Kyrie, but they don't say nothing to Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, that let that documentary sit on there since 2015.
That's
Yeah,
That's
actually
the
a good point.
hypocrisy.
That guy Jeff Bezos like controls the media. He has his own little media empire. He's worth like hundreds of billions.
What's Jeff Bezos' race, ethnicity?
He's actually one of Jake's. He's one of Jake's
He's one
type
of the
of
few
whites.
media guys that aren't Jew. Most are.
He's one
Jeff,
of Jake's
so
whites.
The majority are
He's
Jews.
not one of
Yeah.
Adam's whites. He's one of
Not sure
Jake's
about
whites.
this.
Yeah, that is true. The majority of the media moguls are Jews.
So- I
don't
He's
know,
one of the
man.
few exceptions.
I don't know.
He's on Team Jake.
And this is what
I don't know, man. Jeff Bezos kind of got that look to him too, but we ain't gonna judge by looks. We just definitely somebody to keep an eye on. I don't know if I trust that. I'm gonna look into that myself.
this is where
Larry Ellison, he's on Team King.
And I
Jew,
think
yeah.
it's
Team King.
perfect that y'all are on that side, and this is where Jake gonna have the disclaimer the whole debate.
I think it's funny.
Because
man.
I'm gonna look at y'all as the same, and every time I say it, Jake's gonna say he's not my kind of white.
yeah. He's,
I'm one of the
he's
few
peak
Jews
white,
I like,
man. He's
but we're not brothers.
No,
We're brothers,
no.
but not
Right.
both white.
yeah,
But that
yeah,
does
yeah.
represent-
We wouldn't marry each other's children to each other.
Correct.
Us peak whites
This is-
don't.
that- it's
Us
great you
peak
brought that
whites
up.
don't
Marry your
like
children.
to
Yeah,
you
interact.
can't.
Would you marry your daughter
Peak
to
whites.
one of those
I
Jews?
wouldn't marry with you guys anyway either. I like
You're not
racial purity.
supposed to.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because you're Ashkenazi, right?
I am Ashkenazi, yeah.
So you can't be an Israelite then.
Well,
In Genesis, the 10th chapter, Ashkenaz come from Japhet. They don't come from Shem.
So we as Ashkenazi Jews identify with the region that we were exiled to. So at the time,
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. If you look in the scriptures, the Tzaryach is actually right. It says that Ashkenaz comes from Japheth. It's absolutely insane to say that they identify with the region they come from. Like, that would mean like some of y'all could be Asian if you wanted to. It's just wild. You can see how the doctrine and their way of doing things is real sleazy. It doesn't match up with what Scripture says, not even a little bit. That should be a big enough point where, I mean, the whole debate, you can pretty much cancel it from there. Throw the whole debate away, because Ashkenaz, if you look in our scriptures, Ashkenaz is from Japheth. So not really a way around that, but you see they have a way of manipulating certain things to make it fit what they tell us today.
before even Berlin was a city, there was a kingdom there called Ashkenaz, one of the
That's-
original 70 kingdoms.
Now he's going to talk about the origin that he stole
And the
first before he
Talmud,
stole the Israelite
the
origin.
Talmud actually goes into great detail about King Solomon sending 400 families from the time of Benjamin, the first ever outpost in Ashkenaz,
But we
the
can't
kingdom of
trust the
Ashkenaz.
Talmud, though. The Talmud
Why
is where
can't you
get
trust the Talmud?
Because that's where you get the mitzvah pay. That's where you get where you're sucking on the baby penis.
Do you know? Did you read it in the Talmud, or did you just read like an little
They
excerpt
don't
from
read
the
how they
Talmud?
perform it, but mitzvah pay is in the Talmud.
It's called
And then y'all-
Mefitzbapeh.
You can pronounce
Can
it
we all
however you
can we all
want.
agree that?
That Mefitzbapeh is also weird too. I saw that recently in it's in the Rugrats. If you ever seen the Rugrats cartoon show, they never outright say that Tommy Pickles, the kid, like the main character, I guess one of the main characters, they never outright say that he is a Ish person or comes from an Ish family. But his grandparents in the show have a very evident way of doing things, or evident culture that is synonymous with the way the Ish people move around. And in one of the episodes, they actually have Hebrew, which was crazy. They've actually done I think it's a Rugrats Chanukah. They've actually done some shows, which is absolutely wild if you look back to think about even whose idea this was, to do like Jewish shows pertaining to the Rugrats. This is a kid's show, and they're putting in these things. And one of the things is that oral suctioning that they do when it comes to circumcision is actually mentioned in the show itself. So that's something I actually just recently saw, and I thought that was pretty odd. It's just wild. It's wild.
But it doesn't
Yeah,
stop.
I didn't even have Mefitzbapeh for me, and it's not like
I don't believe you.
Well, that's not for me to care about.
all
I
of
don't
y'all-
care.
baby
You know,
dick
I
got
think
sucked.
all of you
I'll tell you one
white
thing that like
Jewish
sometimes
bastards, all of y'all
sometimes
know
it's
that.
crazy because like I'll like seriously drop a truth bomb on people and they'll be like, I don't believe you. You must have been your
So,
let me-
penis
let me ask
sucked
you
as
this.
a
Let
baby.
me ask you
I'll
this.
take
When
your
you-
word for it.
like-
when you grew up, did you grow up? What type of Judaism was it? Messianic, non-messianic, Orthodox, unorthodox? How did you grow up?
So I grew up as probably assimilated as possible.
No. I'm not talking about like once you got older. I'm talking about
Yeah,
when you
when
were
I grew
born.
up.
Your
I'm telling
family
you.
were they
I'm telling
Orthodox,
you.
unorthodox?
I'll give you my background. So I'm the 5th generation Jew on both sides of my family from Los Angeles, which is literally unheard of. In the Bible, God says he's going to exile you to the 4 corners of the land.
That's not you guys though. We're not on that. I just
And
want
the
to know if you grew up
Ashkenazi Jews,
Orthodox
just
or
so you
not.
know, like we literally went to London, South Africa,
You did not.
Sydney, Australia,
You
and
did
Los
not.
Angeles, the
You did
4
not.
corners of the land. It's very interesting that
You
the
did
Bible.
not.
No, I'm telling
The
you,
only
I'm from
people
Los
that went to the
Angeles.
4 corners is us. So
Well, you
when-
might have
for-
gone to
for
Los
example-
Angeles also.
for
Did you guys
example,
build
when
an
you talk about
Eruv?
Russia, so for example, when you talk about Russia, you can get a book called The Russian Icons, and when you see the images of the Israelites there, they're black. When you talk about Europe and what they call the Dark Ages, you can see where black people ruled Europe. When you talk about Africa, you can see our transition
Jake, the black
into
people
Africa.
ruled Europe.
In my opinion, no.
I mean, like, that's news
This
to
is
me.
why
When you say in your opinion, what do you mean by that? Like Tzaryach's clearly bringing up points of history where we did rule Europe, and for him to say, in my opinion, no. Well, nobody asked you your opinion. You know what I mean? Maybe the guy on the other side did, but that's not specifically what we're talking about right here. It's not about opinion. It's about history. Are you telling me there's never been a time where so-called black people ruled in Europe? We can go through history and see that that's not the case. Of course they did. Of course they did. Very, very, like, demeaning. I also thought it was funny that, like, a lot of times you see other nations speak from a standpoint of, like, their worldview being the main worldview, especially the Ish people, They sit and they speak as if, you know, well, we were scattered to the 4 corners of the earth, and I can prove it because I was born in Los Angeles. That doesn't prove anything at all. Especially considering that your people are ones who kind of were all around anyway. Like they were never in a certain place first. Our people on the other end were in a certain place first and then scattered across because of us breaking the commandments.
Say y'all the same white. That's
That's-
why it's good for
No, no,
y'all.
he was like the
because
host
you
white.
called
You
on
seem
him
very
for help.
skeptical.
Like you called on. This is what Jewish people do. What you just did.
Well, I mean,
is
like-
what Jewish people do when they ask
Hey,
Trump for help
I'm
in the
being
war.
neutral 'cause
you
I'm
couldn't
gonna have-
beat
I'm
me
gonna
in
have your
the,
bro-
you couldn't beat me in the debate, so you ran to your
I'm
daddy.
gonna have your
So
I'm gonna have your back
basically-
on
That's
some
what you
things.
just
So
did.
So
I'm
basically,
just
it's
trying
like
to-
this.
you didn't
I'm
meet
just
him.
sharing my honest
The
opinion.
only time that blacks ever
No,
had
I
any
want your
sort of
opinion.
rulership.
I'm just glad
But
that
I'm
he
trying to
asked
be
Okay,
you.
let
fair
me
with both
answer
you
you
guys.
then. Let me answer you like a scholar would, okay?
I
The
wasn't
only
asking
time
you a question.
the
though.
only time that I know if blacks had any
Hey, by the way, throw a one in the chat if y'all can hear me. I want to make sure that the audio and everything is correct. I took some time setting this up, and of course, I'm gonna have a lot more, technical difficulties and stuff smooth out as I continue to do these. But I just want to make sure y'all can hear me as I'm going on.
sort of rulership in Europe were the Moors of Spain.
Why did they call them swarthy? Why did they call them the Douglases?
This is
Why
like
did they
news
call-
to me.
Why
that,
did they
like,
call one of the kings
all of a sudden,
black? Why
what's
did they
that
call
show
one-
on Netflix?
It shows
Yeah.
all the people black.
Yeah.
Why
the-
did they call
what's
one
it
of the
called?
kings Black
I don't know
Boy?
the name of the show.
It's like Upton
Why
Alley
did they
or
call
something.
one of the kings Black Boy? Why did Ben?
And by the way, I want it to be known. Look, I am not like I don't even like. I'm not a part of no camp. I'm not a part of IOSUPK. I have nothing to do with Tzaryach, other than the fact that we both are Israelites. But that's not a religious belief. This isn't some type of like congregation we're both a part of, other than our ethnicity. That's the only thing that we have in common, in our ways of doing things, obviously. But in the past, I've watched Tzaryach's videos, and I felt as if Tzaryach came off very harsh on a lot of different points. But after doing a good bit of watching certain of his videos, and over time, you start to see he is pretty well-rounded when it comes to his understanding as to the scriptures, as well as how to deal with these other nations, as well as our own nation. So I want it to be known, no, this is not just biased in the sense that we in the same camp or something like that. I'm not in a camp myself at all. I'm not going to be joining any camp, nor would I ever. And that's no offense to any camps. There's nothing wrong with you being in the camp. It's just something I won't do. But I want it to be known that this isn't, not biased in that way. I'm not looking to just agree with everything Tzaryach says just for the sake of it, because in the past, I have disagreed with a lot of what Tzaryach has said, not pertaining to Scripture itself, more so based on his demeanor and the way that he says certain things. But as I've grown as well in truth and grown in understanding, I've learned that there's a certain way, there's a time for everything, and there's a certain way that sometimes it has to be said to others for them to get the point. We grown men, so when it comes to our speaking, sometimes it will come off more harsh than others, especially with those of us coming out of Christianity. Like, they tell us it's all love and faith, and, it's very emotion-led, very heart-led, and we got to understand our people were the same people who, killed people in Scripture. I don't want to reiterate on this point too much, but this is something that we got to be aware of. It's not like some of our holiest men killed other people. Just, of course, we're not just out here bloodthirsty looking to kill people. That's not the point. My point is just that, sometimes demeanors, sometimes ways of relaying information can kind of turn some people off. And in the past, that was the case with me when watching certain things from Tzaryach. And of course, I felt this with other people as well, too. But as I've continued, digesting some of his content, seeing him here and there, as well as watching his debates and stuff, I've gotten to see a better idea of how he presents himself. And we just got to call it what it is. We're not called to be weak individuals, especially as men, especially Judah. We're not called to be weak individuals, So I've kind of, grown a specific, I guess, catering towards his way of relaying information. So kudos to Tzaryach.
And Franklin say we don't want America to be black like Europe was. They make these statements because that's what it was. Benjamin Franklin made that statement.
Is what?
Yeah, that we don't want America to be black like Europe. That's what they said.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're telling me the time of Napoleon Bonaparte, Europe was like black?
Yes, when we say black, you see America is predominantly white, but there's other ethnicities, of course, in America. So I'm not saying there's no white people there's no other type of people, but we were ruling. And it's just as simple as when
You're
Rome
saying
fell,
during
You think they were like
Bonaparte.
the primary rulers?
Yeah,
it's not
when
prime
Rome-
debate today.
right.
Obviously,
Hold on,
but-
Benjamin Franklin, though, right?
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin.
So
Anybody can
Benjamin
look that up.
Franklin was a contemporary, roughly, of Napoleon Bonaparte, right?
Okay.
So, but Napoleon Bonaparte a little bit even before.
We all the paintings.
So
of
the
him are white and
question
stuff.
that I have to you, during the time of Napoleon Bonaparte, you're saying that black people were ruling in
Yeah,
Europe.
black people were in power.
In Europe.
Just like you
Ruling.
can have.
What is that show called?
So as
You know what I'm saying?
America, as America as a country
Oh, my
had
phone.
what's called a black president for a time, even though white
Who
people
was our
were
first black
dominant.
president? It
Well,
wasn't
so
Barack?
let me say it differently.
Obama's Jewish.
The African American.
Obama's Jewish?
Just kidding.
No, Obama is African, so I wouldn't say black.
He's- okay.
Because we're not African.
You guys
Who was
view
the
yourself
first
differently,
black
correct?
Yeah, we're
president?
definitely different.
Mr. General said
Who was
We
the
haven't
first-
had a black president.
You
in
said there
America.
was a first black,
yeah, I
a
wanted
secret
to-
black president.
I didn't use secret.
No, I'm asking
That's-
you.
That's what
I'm
trying
trying to
correct.
get you to define it because I'm
Black
fascinated by
black
the
sounds
story.
good for you guys,
Yeah.
but for us to be ethnically correct,
Yeah.
Obama has an African father and a white mother. So for us, he's not one of our people.
Right. You
So
know, I agree with you there. I don't like the term black or white. I think it's completely ethnically incorrect, and the world is so much more diverse
I don't like the term
than
Jewish
black
either,
and
though.
white. Well, two are colors and one is an ethnicity. So
Jewish is not an ethnicity, though.
How about,
Jewish is
Yehuda?
Wait, hold up.
And it's clearly not an etnicity. Jewish is not an ethnicity at all. I did want to touch on the point that he's making with Barack Obama. I thought this was funny. I remember playing football when I was a kid. I played on a football team, and as kids, you kind of pick up the conversations that your parents and adults speak on. And one of the kids who was on my team, I can't remember this kid's name, was a redhead kid. I want to say his name was Blake or something, but he was sitting beside me one day, and I don't know how I got in the conversation, but this was around the time, obviously, I'm pretty sure it had to be around 2008, around that time when Obama was, getting into office and they had the voting and stuff like that, the election was taking place. You had this kid talking about the elections and who their parents were voting for, and as kids, we just picking up what our parents are saying. They talking about, I think, was it Mitt Romney? Was it Mitt Romney the other guy? I don't know. Mitt Romney was the other guy I'm pretty sure Obama was voting against, and then you had Obama, and you know, of course, us so-called black individuals, I'm sitting here like, well, my people voting for Barack Obama relaying points that my parents have said, and they relaying points that their parents have said. Obviously, they are fairer-skinned individuals, so they voting for Mitt Romney, and the kid looked at me and said, "You only voting for him because he's black." And now I look back at that and I go, dang, bro, they really got us. They really got us. And the crazy thing is like, when you say black, I obviously don't like this term at all. I think that they've made great points here speaking about how white and black, those terms are so stupid, honestly, in my opinion. They are colors. And I know that sounds super woke in today's terms to say that, but when you think about it, no one person, it groups a bunch of people together when you say white or black. That's solely judging off of appearance. Like, my children light skinned. If anybody saw them when they was kids, they would think, oh, that could be a so-called white baby. And she's not. You know what I'm saying? My daughters are not. They full-blood Judite. So they're just very light skinned. Now, that's where you start to have a problem when you use these, I guess, umbrella terms. Same thing with black, because now you're looking at me and a Nigerian calling us both black, and he looking at me like, you are not my people. And I'm looking at him like, bro, I don't know you. You know what I mean? So that's where you have problems there. But I think it's funny, they really got us with the whole Barack Obama being the first black president. Like, that was such a marketing tactic, and it worked. It worked well. I mean, it's not like we dictate or actually have any say in who gets elected or not. As much as people want to believe that's the case, it's simply not. But I will say we definitely got on and I mean, I was a kid. I'll say my parents and them got on believing that this man was a so-called black person or African American. It's just odd because he has Arabic background. He is an African, you know what I mean? He's from Africa, that area. Us on the other end, our people are not from Africa. We are not from Africa. So it's just funny how you can get kind of thrown in that box. As well as, you know, I guess his name Adam. Adam is saying Jewish is an ethnicity. Now, I've been around Jewish people. I've talked to Jewish people. I've worked beside Jewish people. And I can guarantee you it is not an ethnicity, because they choose one day to be Jewish and another day to not. I've seen it myself. You know, they say some of those secular Jews. If you can pick and choose, it's not an ethnicity. This is a religious belief. That's all it is. Because you can go to the so-called state of Israel right now, and you can see that most people there are not practicing. They're not Orthodox Jewish. They're not Orthodox Jewish. Most of them are just secular. They're just moving around. And if you ask them, they say, oh, well, I'm Jewish because it sounds good in today's world. But most of them don't keep any of the things that so-called Jewish people should keep, showcasing that it's not an ethnicity. It's a religious belief system. There are people who are like people I've stood beside and asked them, hey, bro, like, you know, where are you from? You know what I'm saying? They say I'm Jewish, and then later down the conversation, they'll say, hey, my grandfather is Arabic and my grandmother is Turkish. Well, explain to me how you got that. Explain to me how you got Arabic and Turkish from, and then somehow turned into Jewish. But this is what happens when you go by the mother's bloodline instead of the father's bloodline. So, it's just things that get misconstrued with the wording and the verbiage.
Or Judah.
Wait. Jewish is not an ethnicity.
Judah is the
Jewish,
family.
I didn't say Judah. I said Jewish.
Jewish is Judish.
Jewish is religion, because in Jewish,
But I
you're
can't be
an
a Jew,
Israelite by your mother. Ethnically, you're an Israelite by your father.
Spot on.
That's why y'all won't do the DNA test, because if y'all start taking that DNA test, you're going to see a lot of y'all are not the Jews. We are the Jews.
I don't do
That's why it's illegal.
I'll tell you, I personally don't do the DNA test
you
because I
don't
don't
wanna
want
get the truth
China to
either.
have my genetics.
Or
My parents took the
That is
DNA
not
test.
Wait, but that is not
I can tell
what-
you about my parents'
that is what-
DNA
That's
test.
not what Israel says.
Hold up. In my parents' DNA
Mm-hmm.
test, my mother says 100% Ashkenazi Jew. It's unbelievable.
Right,
They have an
100% white.
actual
Why aren't
genetic.
those allowed to
They
be
have an
brothers?
actual genetic.
Said 100% white. And this is the thing. It's like he's kind of just over talking with the same rhetoric. At the end of the day, Ashkenaz is not. It's not. Look in the scriptures themselves. Look in Genesis. It does not. You can't make somebody from the line of Japheth also an Israelite, also a Judite. That's just not possible. this should tell you, like, him skipping over that and continuing forward should tell you everything. These terms they die on showcase the lies. And showcase the lies. There's no way around it. There's no way around it.
Marker. And my mother is a Bas Kohen, which means that she's an Ashkenazi Jew from the tribe of descendant of Aaron the priest. My grandfather.
That don't even make sense.
It does, though.
No, it doesn't. How can
Well, to you it doesn't, because you're not Jewish.
Because how can you be Ashkenaz and Shemitic?
I'll tell you.
Ashkenaz is a Japhetic tribe.
It's like.
So think about what you. Hold on.
I'll tell you. I'll explain it to you.
Before you answer, think about what you're saying. When you're talking about DNA, you're talking about genetic markers.
Yeah.
So if you marry the DNA of the science with the genetic marker, with the Bible, when the Lord divided the nations in Genesis 10 and 32.
To 70 nations.
When the Lord divided the nations.
Yes,
in
there's
Genesis
a kingdom
10,
of Ashkenaz.
When you talk, I know you're trying to distract.
Yeah, let him finish.
So when the Lord
We'll
divided
say
the
it.
nations in
We'll
Genesis
say it.
10 and 32, the Japhetic line had their own line, so they would have their own genetic markers.
Yeah.
Shemitic line have their own lines, so they would have their own genetic markers. So if you take a DNA test that says you go back to Ashkenaz, that's a different family line than the family line that the Israelites come from. So you can't be from the family line of Shem and the family line of Japhet genetically if you believe in the Bible, because the Lord divided them.
You go ahead and just call the whole debate. You just go ahead and call the whole debate. Like, you really, it's pretty much over. There's not really much debating that can happen from that point moving forward. I mean, I'm sure they're going to find a way, you know what I mean, to maneuver around that. But if you anybody who is watching this, please take note of what Tzaryach just said. I promise you, you cannot find a way for that to make sense. You cannot find a way for you to be Ashkenaz as well as Israelite. It does not work. It does not make any sense. It's not possible. Those are two different bloodlines. You literally can't. So in the words themselves, they've just been able to say it for so long that people roll with it. But as our people have woken up, we putting boots on their neck, you know what I'm saying, holding them to the fire, putting their back against the wall, showcasing, hey, look, this don't make sense. This don't make sense at all. And that's one thing I will apply with Tzaryach. Although he may come off a little rough around the edges sometimes, one thing that I can say is he does a better job of relaying information and remaining peaceable in doing such than most that I've seen. A lot of these camps will stand out and scream and yell and not be able to hold their peace when relaying information. And they look foolish. It's just, again, two clanging cymbals that ends up happening in the conversation itself or in the debate. But when you're able to hold your peace and keep in a calm demeanor, shalom, then you're able to, you know what I'm saying, make the other person, it's evident that they look like a fool. The things that they say, like the audience member viewing what is happening has to then actually digest what is happening here. And of course, you see a couple times we've seen where the Adam has jumped in looking to, like Tzaryach has stated, distract from what is actually being brought out, because they don't like when we start to speak intellectually. They don't like it at all. We can be physically superior. We can't be intellectually superior. That's when they start to have a problem.
Can I tell you?
Yes.
Can I respond?
Yes.
So I'm not descended at all from Japhet.
You said your mama is, though.
No, hold on. Listen to me. I'll explain. My line of Ashkenaz, my claim of Ashkenazi is like the same of how I say I'm an American Jew. Like I put America before Jew. It was the kingdom that I'm living in before, you know, and as a Jewish person. So it's like being an American Jew. But in the time that at the time that the Ashkenazi Jewish community was established, the very first Ashkenazi Jewish community was established by King Solomon as an embassy outpost, and he had 400 families from the tribe of Benjamin go there. And actually, Berlin is a Jewish city. It was founded by Jews 1,800 years ago.
I think you're missing what you said out of your
Because
mouth.
before, hold on, listen. Before Germany was even a nation or a conception, there was once something called the Kingdom of Ashkenaz. Now, when the Romans destroyed us and carried us into captivity, the Kingdom of Ashkenaz was still a thing.
But what you're doing now is you're spinning from what you said. You did all that history and word salad, but you said when your mom took a DNA test. So
Yeah.
now you got into genetics. Genetics is not that migration. So when you say Ashkenaz And then we look in the Bible in Genesis, the 10th chapter, and Ashkenaz come from Japhet. You can't have Japhetic DNA and Shemitic DNA.
There's
you got to
no-
have one or the other.
I'll tell you, it's
Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. That was well said, Tzaryach. I'm gonna get this this stream deck, these buttons together so I can start dropping bombs because that deserved one for sure. I'm gonna start having the sirens. The man. I'm gonna get it all going because that definitely deserved one. And you really can't. How can you shift from that? How can you move from that? And he said it out of his own mouth. You can't please go look into the scripture. Go read Genesis. I don't know specific verse, but go read Genesis where it speaks about the lineages and where it speaks about who Ashkenaz comes from. You are not going to find Shem. You are not going to find Israelites later down from there, the descendants. You're not going to find it. Just do your due diligence and go check that out and then ask the question, well, if that's the case, then who are these people? Who are these people? I mean, you can look at their faces like they look very Arabic, European. I mean, it's a mix. You know what I mean? But not Shemitic,
kind of like this Tartarian thing, you know?
Wait, before you say that. So, like, when black people go get their DNA, if their DNA traces, for the most part, it'll say they came from, like, the west coast of Africa or something like that. And then they got, like, E1, B1 markers. You got L markers and stuff like that. So there's genetic markers that they say make up white people, genetic markers that they say make up black people,
cut the live stream
Chinese
off. You don't
people.
too much.
Live
X,
stream.
Y.
Hold on, we're
Yeah.
cutting the live stream.
Yeah.
You don't want too much.
Wait,
All right,
if
hold
you
on.
wanna Announce it
We're
then.
gonna
Hey, man, we
save
gonna
this.
clip
The
this. We'll be
rest
up
of
next
this
week.
conversation is
Shit's
Jake's
fire. The rest of the-
Yeah,
conversation.
it'll be up next week. So you want for the podcast?
Jake, give
That's
a plug
right.
for your podcast. We're about to go
Right
live.
back there. We're watching
You gotta
there. It'll be
watch
out
it.
next week.
It's
Yeah.
out
We're
next
about to get a
week.
lot hotter too. I got
Yeah.
some good questions
It's
coming.
gonna be good.
Gonna turn up. About to
I'm
beat
about
you
to
up.
turn this
We're
shit up.
gonna. Nobody's beating the
I
shit
told
out
him,
of
I
anybody.
told him I'm not gonna help if he starts beating
because
his ass.
it's been live. It has to be on camera.
I'm not fighting 5 black dudes.
Yeah, it should
Five
be
black
on
Jews.
camera. Motherfuckers are
I don't
stupid.
like you that much.
Okay. Anyways,
But
thank
wait,
God
wait,
Jake's
one,
here.
maybe.
UFC champion
That's right.
is in the room, so
right.
nobody's
There's like
beating
5 of them,
anybody's
bro. Sorry.
asses.
I
Yeah,
said
no, I
if-
mean,
I'd be
intellectually,
impressed
not
if he
physically.
Jackie Chan'd everybody in the room.
we're not
I
gonna
think he's
fight.
still capable.
We're
not gonna fight. We're
You
not
know,
gonna
I'll
fight.
say this.
We're not gonna fight.
No, God forbid. But I'll
It's
say this.
not physically,
I want to
it's
say this
mentally.
live before I tune off, so that my audience can hear it.
Okay. What do you want to say?
I get
You
a
always
lot of
trying to
these.
get extra in.
I got
Yeah,
a lot. Yeah,
always.
because it's my Jewish in me. I'm always
Yeah.
trying to get
Get
that
you the
extra.
extra couple minutes.
I got a lot of my Jewish fighters and UFC fighters in the DMs that always hit me up. They're like, "Oh, I want to fight Jake. I want to fight Jake." I just
here.
want to say right here, this guy right here is like so next level in the ring. Don't do that, guys.
Yeah, I'll fight any Jew.
You're gonna make us look bad.
Jews when I
This
do
guy is like
they're I
5-time
want to be a
champion.
anti-Semites. I'm like,
He's
I'm right here.
older. He's like older than all of you, and I still
Any
think he
white
would
Jew,
win.
any white
Right.
Jew.
I would put
Right.
my money
Some of you
on
brother Jews
Jake
might be
if
tough.
you guys tried to do that. So, hey, tune in. Fight Back
Come on,
Podcast
man,
is gonna
hurry
be
up,
dope.
man. Cut this
Fuck,
shit
see
off,
the
man.
Jewish.
Where is it? Where is
See,
it?
he's
I don't
trying
even know
to
how to
steal
end
my
it. Was you even
podcast.
live?
Boom.
There you go.
Stop
I'm
broadcast.
so Jewish. I'll let you use this for your channel after I air it.
Dude, I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna rip it.
Yeah, but let's get our shit going
Yeah.
now.
So
We're good.
now, but so when you
Bro, the hat is basically a beanie now. It's basically a beanie. It's basically a beanie. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. They are definitely getting larger. I feel like it's growing as this debate continues.
Dude, I'm
Thank
gonna use it. I'm gonna rip it.
Yeah, but let's get our shit going
Yeah.
now.
So
We're good.
now, but so when you
we're
start
good.
mixing the genetic markers
Yeah.
and saying that you could be one genetic marker and another genetic marker, a person that has E1 B1 in their DNA can't also have another E1 B1 or an L marker. It's either one or the other. That's why they'll tell you the paternal line for your DNA never changes. So even women, when they go for their DNA, they can't pull their father's DNA because they don't have that genetic material.
Yeah.
So if your mom has Ashkenazi, she can't have two mixtures of DNA. That's genetically impossible.
So in the
Right.
Jewish tradition, my
See, that's why I
mother's.
said
I'm
Jewish
letting
is
you
not
tell
biblical.
You. Listen, no, you gotta let me finish. I'm
I
trying to
definitely am.
explain it to you, but
Yeah.
like I gotta like tone it down a little bit.
Can you
'cause
use the
you're not getting
Bible
it.
or Torah?
I could use the Bible if you
No,
want
what I
me to
mean,
explain it in the Bible.
no. Now you're saying you got to go into it, but when you identifying who a Jew is or who an
Yeah.
Israelite is, the Bible supersedes either one of us, right? You
Yeah.
would agree?
Totally.
So you would have to show in the Bible where you're a Jew by your mom.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, good.
I could do that today.
Do you
I
guys
actually brought.
both only believe in the Old Testament?
Yeah,
Well, I
brought,
believe in the Old and New
I
Testament.
brought a lot of
He
my
believes in the
lineage
Old
with me.
Testament.
Actually, like
You believe both,
I
don't you?
brought
Yeah, I believe
I brought
both.
a chunk of my lineage with me.
But can you just demonstrate in the Bible
Yeah, I
how
can.
you're a Jew by your mother?
I can.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I don't think he's realizing, like, when you do the whole, I guess, I say like white splaining kind of thing, speaking from a sense of authority down, we already don't believe what is being said. So as you continue to speak, we're not going to just jump into your way of believing, if that makes sense. You're stating that, you know, you come from this place, or like you're not understanding this is Jewish X, Y, and Z. That's the whole point. We're saying you slap something on top of something else. You slapped a belief system on top of what Scripture says. You slapped a false belief over something that is true. So no, we don't want to hear from your understanding. We want to hear from what the true thing says, being the Scriptures. Tell us from there moving forward. Don't do the whole like oral tradition and this and that, because we don't believe any of it anyway.
So my mother is what's called a Bas Kohen. Now a Bas Kohen is the most coveted bloodline in all of Israel. It's the priest line. So there's all sorts of rules that govern like the Bas Kohen, the daughter of the priest, and also the son of the priest. Like he can only marry specific bloodlines. He can't marry converts, but like he can marry any of like
So certain Jews are better
Well,
than
can't
others.
nobody marry a
Ashkenazis
convert.
When it comes- so when it
are
comes to the
bad, and then-
temple-
so it's
Well,
like,
nobody
it's
No,
like,
not even
Well, he has to
Ashkenazim.
marry-
Hold on. Not even Ashkenazim. When it comes to
You
the
can't marry any
when it
convert.
comes to the tribe, the Kohen, we've like separated this DNA strand out of our tribe.
That's not true.
It's called the Kohen gene. Yeah, we have it.
He's like the Jeffrey
My
Epstein,
grandfather
trying to do
had the
super
Kohen gene. My grandfather,
No,
there's a
that's why they
specific
banned the DNA. 'Cause
there's a
that's
specific
lie,
Y
what they're
chromosome marker in the ancestry test that finds a Kohen gene. Now, my grandfather, when he was alive, alav hashalom, of blessed memory, he had the Y chromosome indicator of the Kohen
Based
gene.
on who? Who said that?
Based on the collective group based on the collective group in our family lineages that are extremely well traced. Like we have written books of our family lineages that are extremely well written down.
That go back to
The Ashkenazi,
right?
no, that go back to King David, actually. 90%
cap.
of Ashkenazi Jews are descended of King
That's
David.
cap.
How does that work? That doesn't make any sense. You would have to literally rip the pages out of Scripture and write in your own thing for that to make sense. How does Ashkenaz go back to King David if Ashkenaz come from Japheth? And honestly, I mean, look, y'all could have did a better job with, you know, throwing dirt under that or throwing that under the rug as far as the name Ashkenazi. I mean, if you really wanted to, hold on one second. Sorry, one second. Yeah, if you truly wanted to, you know, kind of hide the lineages, if you really wanted to, I guess, cover up everything, you would have completely removed that label Ashkenaz or Ashkenazi. But I mean, again, they don't really care to, if I'm being honest. They don't care to at all. It's more about, you know, control, power, manipulation, control through media, control through money, banks, usury, those types of things. So, but I'm just saying, you literally, it does not make any sense to say that out of your mouth. As far as Ashkenaz leading back to King David, he was not an Ashkenazi, so or he had nothing from that lineage of Ashkenaz. So how did those two lineages get back together? The only way you would have this mixing is if you do exactly what they say. Take the mother's lineages, and that's a problem because the mother can go and lay with a man who's not of Israel. But if you take that mother's lineage, then you have a problem. But we know the man carries the seed. The man carries the seed. So, yeah.
No, it is. It's
No,
true.
it's not. 'Cause
Absolutely,
David's
it's true.
line would come from Shem. We would
I
have
could,
that same
I
DNA
could show
problem.
you.
I
could show you.
both of you.
But he didn't ever answer my question, though. You're supposed to demonstrate how you're a Jew according to your mother in the Bible. or
So
Torah.
the way that the Torah works is that it used to be by the father up until the first exile.
You have to show that.
During the time of that's in the Talmud. During the time of the first exile,
That's where you have the
during
problem.
the time of listen, the Talmud is like this massive encyclopedic volume of knowledge. For you to just discount it is a sign of ignorance.
It's not about discounting it. When I'm saying
Then what
It's
does
not
your
about-
mean?
my is you
I'm discounting it, especially as well for anybody who is considering themselves a Christian, whether you're watching this or whether you follow whatever, you got to understand the Talmud has some pretty nasty stuff in it that it goes directly against your beliefs as a so-called Christian, goes directly against your beliefs. So when they pull and they say, well, this is in the Talmud and this is like, they do this Jewish mysticism kind of thing, like, oh, we know because we're inside the club and you're not, so we have to teach you. It's completely invalidated. It's completely invalidated because what they're pulling from has nothing to do with the original scriptures. We see that. We see as far as their bloodline, it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing.
can't change what God said. We are the 12 tribes of Israel. Those are all 12 men. There is no tribe of Dinah, right? There is no tribe of no women.
Do you
When
know
you
where
say
Dinah?
you're-
Do you
when
know
you
where
say-
Dinah? Do you know where Dinah is found? Her lineage, actually.
Don't separate.
No, well,
So
you're making a claim. In
There's
the
not
Bible,
a
I
tribe
wanna-
of Dinah.
Dinah married into the tribe of Yosef. Actually,
It doesn't. Once she married a man,
Her daughter
point is
Osnat
there's no
married
tribe.
Ephraim.
That's fine. I didn't say that she didn't marry nobody.
I'm
but
just
there's
saying,
no
like, you
tribe
don't
of
know the
Dinah.
lineage.
So Ephraim, Manasseh.
Why do I know the
Gad,
lineage,
Naphtali,
but you don't know
Benjamin,
the lineage if
Levi,
you're the Jew and I'm not?
all of them, because what you're saying, the still doesn't give a tribe of Dinah.
Okay, I
All
wanna
you're
ask
saying-
you a question.
Wait. I just want for the record. He cannot show any book, chapter, verse
I will,
that you're
right now.
a Jew according to your mother.
I will
he has
right
to go
now.
to the
Divrei
Talmud, which
Hayamim.
is not
Nope,
the Bible.
I'm going to tell you right now. Divrei Hayamim, the Book of Chronicles. We're going to go down a rabbit hole in the Book of Chronicles.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of the term the Reish Galuta from the Bible? It's in the Mikra. It's in this Bible. The first Reish Galuta. Do you know what his name was?
What's his name?
His name is Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel.
What's the scripture you going to in Chronicles?
Zerubbabel is the grandson of Tzidkiyahu Melech Yehuda.
Why didn't he answer
You
that?
talk about
The 20
Zerubbabel.
Yeah, his name is Zerubbabel.
There's no V's in the original Hebrew. That's
Zerubbabel.
something y'all
There
changed
is.
when you
There's a
bastardized
bet and a
the
vet.
V came later. There's no V's.
Zarababala or Zarababal. Yeah, there's no such thing as a V in the Hebrew language. This is something, and of course, I've spent my time studying modern Hebrew as well as the ancient Hebrew, and you see that there was a pronunciation difference that came later on. It was not from our people. It was not from those who are of the tribes of Israel. It just came afterwards. One of the main points in this, I wrapped my head around this for years, and I started to see, well, you have the nikud, you got the dots and the squigglies they put over certain words. And when you look at the Paleo and you look at the modern, or you look at the ancient and you look at what they call Hebrew now, you see a significant difference. One of them looked very like hieroglyphic and tribal, and then you have this other one that started to turn into this almost Arabic looking thing. And these dots and squiggles, and side note, Arabic, there's a reason why that's there. But these dots and squiggles, these nikud, these things that they put there, they are only there because they needed to know how to pronounce the language because it wasn't theirs originally. Think about it this way. Vowel sounds, right? Vowel sounds. In the original language, there was only one vowel sound that stood out, and it was I. Besides the other like regular consonant sounds, you have ah, ba, ga, da. Those are pretty much it. But the only other vowel sound that stands out is I, which looks like a literal I, or what they call today ayin. And the problem that you have moving forward is that as you go through history, you start to see, well, these dots and squiggles appear. Then you go back and ask why. What would they need those for? Identifiers for a language to know how to pronounce the vowels? Why would you need to know how to pronounce the vowels visually if it's a language you've been speaking for so long? If you ask these people, their bloodline goes so far back, you should have never lost the language. Why would there be such a significant change? And then also on top of that, why would you ever need indicators to tell you how to pronounce the word? We know in our scriptures, and we know through looking at the original scriptures, that they showcase that the letters themselves say how to pronounce them. You don't see a letter and then it's pronounced something different. It just doesn't work that way. Although in their language, you will have something like bait, the letter what we call ba. You'll have this letter ba, and then you can put a dot and squiggly over it or under it, and it changes it to a V, va. And we don't have that. We don't have that at all. So very odd thing. It's something that I looked into, and actually I was surprised to see, okay, well, this is even more so confirmation that something is off here. This could not be your original language, because if a person knows how to speak something, they don't need dots and squiggles or accents for them to know how to say a word. It wouldn't make sense. This is their native language.
So you read Hebrew?
I wouldn't put myself as a scholar on it.
I'm a scholar of Hebrew.
But I know that there's no V's. There was no
Where did
V's
I get Hebrew from? Is it an African language? Where did I learn it? If it's not the language of the Bible.
Hebrew would be. I didn't say Hebrew wasn't a language in the Bible.
So then why do I know it? Why was
I said
it
that bastardized version of Hebrew that you guys have?
Why? How do you know that it's bastardized if you don't even know what Hebrew is?
Because Hebrew became bastardized when we went into the first captivity.
But then why don't you speak
You got to
Hebrew?
hear the answer. You got to hear the answer.
Let's do
Okay.
something a little less technical.
I want to add this in right here. What's actually happening is that Tzaryach is making a good point towards why it doesn't really matter for him to I won't say for him to know it, but it doesn't really matter for him to speak it fluently. You don't have to have fluency in a language to digest or understand or be able to read the language itself. This is how people go about learning a language in the first place. You don't have to know in complete fluency to identify words or to know their meanings. Now, what Adam is doing here is basically just like grandstanding on Tzaryach, saying, well, why don't you know Hebrew? Why don't you know Hebrew? If you're the Jew, why don't you know Hebrew? Why don't you know Hebrew? And that's just not a good point. It's very facetious. It's malicious, clearly in his tonality and demeanor. But it's just something that, again, I told you, it's kind of like a white splaining kind of thing. Like, let me sit over top of you and speak down towards you because I'm the scholar and you're not. And they love that word scholar. Like, the thing is, we don't validate any of your scholars. They've all lied for a very long time. They've all lied. There's no reason why we should ever validate your scholars. So,
Go
yeah.
for a second. I know some of the people. This shit's great. But let's hit something a little more, because some of the audience can get confused here.
Okay,
I think.
no
Some
problem.
shit. There's something I stumbled across. I found really interesting.
Yeah.
Through Bible verses.
Okay.
Sorry to change directions. I know this stuff is
No,
some of the
no
details.
problem.
Some of the audience might get lost. Some of this shit. This was. Let me try these verses because they were kind of. They threw me off a little bit. Something about the Jews. It wasn't say. Let me see if I find it. Jeremiah. There's a couple different verses. 17:14 says Israelis would serve enemies in a land they know not, losing their heritage.
What verse are you reading again?
It says Jeremiah 17:4.
Oh, okay.
Saying Israelis would serve enemies in a land they know not, losing their heritage.
It doesn't say Israelis, but it does say Israelites.
To me, I'm trying to be neutral, but that was like, whoa, that was one. I'm gonna have things for both sides, but that seemed to definitely favor the black people, because black people were taken, serving an enemy in a land they don't know.
Right.
There was one more.
So yeah, I'll drop a bomb right there too. Shout out Jake Shields, bro. I don't know too much about him, but this is my first introduction to his podcast, and I will say good job when it comes to mediating, remaining unbiased, as well as presenting sides. Like, because you got certain people, like, I've done the reaction on I did a short reaction on another podcast. I will call it a podcast, but a debate that Tzaryach was on Matan's podcast, and Matan, I get it. It's supposed to be some satire, brain rot, whatever you want to call it. But he does a horrible job of mediating. He does a horrible job of keeping things balanced. And Jake, I will say that's a great point. It's an amazing point. He literally said that favors so-called black people, because when have these so-called Israelis ever lost their heritage, ever been at the bottom? When have they ever been oppressed by others? Never. The only time that they even claim that these things have happened is in, I don't want to say the word, but you know what I mean. The one atrocity that they can bring up that happened to their people, which by no means even remotely was as significant as the atrocities that happened in the transatlantic slave trade. That is the only thing that they can bring up. And even then so, it had nothing to do with what Scripture says would have happened to the so-called Israelites, or to the Israelites, I'll say. So with the so-called Israelis, they don't really have a hill to die on when it comes to these types of things. How could you get that verse to pertain to you. It doesn't make any sense. We've never seen it with our own eyes. We've never seen your people at the bottom of society ever. That's the main reason why they get kicked out of so many countries, because they're always finding ways to get at the top, and they do things that are more malicious than any other nation would choose to do, just so they can be at the top and be in power. That is why these people say, hey, it's kind of like a virus that slides in when you let too many in one area, because then they start to take over, they'll screw your economy and things. So, yeah.
That was very similar. It was the other one that was.
That's actually a good scripture. It says, and even
that was
thou
shocking
shalt
when it-
discontinue thine heritage.
Oh, here, listen to this one.
Discontinue thine
Deuteronomy
heritage.
28 it says, Israelis will be scattered by ships to serve enemies in a land they know not, with iron yokes
All
on their
right,
necks.
people sent me these things.
And people hate when we bring out Deuteronomy 28 and 68, because it is the one of the largest identifiers of who is Judite, who is Yahweh, who is Jew and who is not. Because if you've never been taken across an ocean into another land on ships and had yokes of iron on your neck, your people have never had this, yet our people have evidence of all of those things. Why would we ever look at your people to be those people? Now, I'll be honest, a lot of people like hear this rhetoric and they'll hear us bring out Deuteronomy 28 and 68, and they'll pull out the whole we was kings thing. And the problem with that is it just goes to show that a lot of these other nations have a mentality of it can be anybody but you. It could be anybody but you. I say this all the time. I literally had a guy I used to work alongside, and sitting, it's me. There's a white guy beside me, and there's a Palestinian guy beside me. And me and the Palestinian guy kind of talking, because he's a Muslim, and we were talking about the things, the differences between our understandings of scripture and belief of what's actually going on here in this world. And, excuse me, the guy beside me, we started talking about it. So the Palestinian dude asked him, like, X, Y, and Z, what do you think, blah, blah, blah. And the dude goes, yeah, well, I believe he was closer to, he reaches around me and goes, I believe, the Messiah was closer to his skin, skin complexion and his features. And I'm sitting here like, that makes no sense at all. It makes no sense at all. Clearly a Palestinian. Palestinians are Arabic. I mean, you can see the dude's facial features. Palestinians, their eyes are a little bit turned in. They're a little bit thinner. You know what I mean? Like, they have bigger noses, these types of things. And it's like, the fact that they would rather it be anybody but the so-called black people is absolutely insane. And mind you, it's the demeanor, the spirit posture, the rhetoric that comes alongside this being spewed from other nations that should make you think, well, if there was anybody, like, why wouldn't it make sense for it to be them? They continuously get kicked in the face by all the other nations. And even in my heart of hearts, if I were a white person, even in my heart of hearts, there's something about them being kings that I just absolutely hate. That's exactly why the Most High tells us, the Messiah tells us, if they hated him, how much more are they going to hate us? There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that.
And,
Has that happened to you guys?
I mean, like, we went through the Holocaust, not on ships, but, I mean...
Okay, but if this says...
Exactly what I just brought up.
We shall be brought into Egypt again with ships and sold for bondmen and bondwomen, that didn't happen to y'all in the Holocaust. And it says, no man shall buy you or redeem you. So y'all were redeemed, actually. When the Holocaust happened, they had World War II, and they redeemed you guys.
And this is where we get into the point. This is how we know the veil is thinning, because this is a point that you can't get around. No man shall redeem you. That is a spiritual bringing back. Why is it that no man will redeem us? Because we're owned by the creator of everything. So the only person, the only being who would redeem us is the creator of all. He wants everybody else to leave us alone so we can see that it is him who brings us back. It is him who redeems us. It's him who brings us back to Torah. It's him who brings us back to the land. It's him who rules over us. We are his people. He made a people for himself. So when you look at the Ashkenaz and these so-called Israelis, you're at the top of the world right now. How is it that how could we say you would never be redeemed? You clearly, like, even if you did have any type of atrocity, let's say even from the Holocaust itself, and I tried not to say it, but even from that atrocity that they, and it's not to knock anything, the atrocity that they speak of, you still caught reparations from that to this day. You still caught reparations from that. You still caught benefits from that. You were placed in a place. Are y'all currently in that position? Not even a little bit. You don't see any concentration camps or anything of the sort that have your people in them. Not even a little bit. This should be like a wake-up call to anybody who is considering themselves, Jew and are not, because it's pretty evident, it's pretty obvious that, like, okay, a couple of these things ain't lining up. It just don't make sense. And I wish more of those who consider themselves Christians would wake up and realize this as well, too, because it's evident. It's clear as day. There's no way around it. These are things that must be said because the Most High's people are waking up and realizing who they are. There's a reason why we went into that captivity. Our people were in a kingdom. We did have our stuff together. We fell out of that to pick up the things of these other nations, and the Most High told us what would happen when we did that, which is, hey, look, I'm going to take your heritage from you. I'm going to take your culture. I'm going to take your language, your ways of doing things. I'm going to remove your kingdom, and I'm also going to remove your land. And I'm going to scatter you to the four corners of the earth, as well as you'll become oppressed. Other people will rule over your people, and you'll know it. Why? Because why is it that we are called African Americans, but there's no African American part of America? There's no African American military. There's no actual place called Africa America for so-called black people. There's no military. We don't have our own president. There's none of that stuff. So it's clear as day you have a people inside of another people. Where did those people come from? So it's like my mic is looking to die here, but yeah, it's like where could that come from? You know what I mean? And I enjoy these conversations because it's getting to a point where if any Christian or anybody of the sort who doesn't have pride in their heart and an ear to hear and eyes to see sits down and just has these points relayed to them, you would genuinely have to just be like, hey, look, I love sweet baby Jesus and I love them Israelis, so I'm forgetting everything you saying based out of pride. Because this stuff does not line up for those who they call to be the chosen people. There's no way around it. There's no way around it.
Then they displaced the Palestinians for you guys.
Do you think that like all of everything that's happened, like there's like no blessing from God? There's like
No, before we get to that part, I just want to see how, because
Well, I just think that
Jake
question
brought the
asked is
scriptures.
pretty,
Yeah.
you want to go into it? Let's
yeah,
go
the
into
Jer-
the scripture. Let's read
no,
it.
to me, I found
I
that very
will, I will,
interesting.
I will.
It
Let's
said
read it.
there was two of them. I
Yeah,
think.
Okay,
Jeremiah
I'm gonna
17
answer.
and 4.
I'm gonna
Jeremiah
answer.
17 and 4 first.
Okay,
I
we're
just
gonna
found
start
them
with
very
Jeremiah
interesting.
17:1.
Right.
17:4. It says.
The sin of Judah is inscribed with an iron pen, with a hard metal fingernail, etched into the tablet of their heart, into the corners of your altars. As they remember their children, so they remember their altars and their Asherah trees, besides leafy trees and upon lofty hills. O idolaters on the mountains in the field, your wealth,
read the whole Bible.
all your
Yeah.
treasure. You do actually. You
I
do.
mean,
no,
well,
you
very
do. You do.
sincerely-
You do. You need to know for
No, it just
context.
says to be taken.
Hold on, I'm at number 3. I'm at number 3. I'm at number 3.
All right.
He said you don't have to read the whole Bible.
Your wealth, all your treasure shall you make into booty
Right.
because of your high places made in sin throughout your boundaries. You will
Verse
be
4.
forced to withdraw from your heritage that I have given you, and I will enslave you to your enemies in a land that you knew not, for you have ignited a fire in my wrath, and it will burn.
Jake understands, man. Jake understands. I think Jake is reevaluating his beliefs because he like, well, I'm be honest, I'm sitting with two people who consider themselves Jew, and it only seems like one side is really adding up. And this other side right here, it's clear he's rambling and just doing a bunch of facetious stuff. The other side came with points and facts and a peaceable demeanor, very targeted, strategic in his way of relaying information as well, too. Knows what he's talking about, making great points. I think Jake, you see how Jake is looking at Tzaryach like, you might be the chosen people. That would make sense.
Forever.
So did that happen to you
crazy.
guys?
I mean, the way that I see that is like, look at,
Yeah, but
we've
that
been
did
like the
happen to black
nation
people.
Yeah,
builder.
it happened to us.
They
We've
lost
been the
their
nation
heritage, they're
builders
taken
of
away.
the world. I mean,
No,
like
this
we
ain't
have.
talking about nation
yeah, Jews
building.
never
This
got
is talking
taken
I don't know.
about
It says the
this is talking
servants
about
of the.
this is talking about discontinuing from
No,
your
that verse kind of
heritage.
shocked me when I
All
found
right.
that.
That is
And let me
interesting.
tell you
Wow.
something. What's
That's
interesting
it.
about it is because
And I ain't gonna keep stopping it, but I do want to say to those of y'all, especially those from other nations who realize it to be true and can get rid of your pride, put your pride to the side and say, that shocked me. That was different. When I read this, it blew my mind. Kudos to you as well, too, because the Most High says we are to treat you like natives when you sojourn and cling with us. No, that don't mean you get to come in here and start dictating scripture and telling us what to do. No, of course not. But best believe we not finna treat you like animals. That's not the point. I don't agree with these other people who, you know, speak about just completely treating outside nations like animals. And I get it, you know what I'm saying? The Most High does compare other nations to dogs at times, but the whole point is not to do what they did to us. Yes, those who took us captive will go into captivity, but we will have those of them amongst us who are respectable, who we understand, hey, that's a good servant right there. They do a good job. So I'm gonna give you what it is that I won't give to anybody else. I'm gonna allocate more dominion for you because you listen. You understand your position and you served me well. So I'm going to allocate more providence to you because you actually listen. So there's a balance to these things. We are called to be malaka. So we're not sitting here looking to just put our foot on these people's necks unjust. For those who is deserved, of course, the Most High, if you give us that green light, so be it. You know what I mean? We are supposed to do what we're supposed to do. There will be bloodshed. The Most High, the Messiah tells us he comes not to bring peace but a sword. So there will be those who get destroyed, all because they never wanted to come and serve us. They never wanted to come and worship at our feet, as Scripture says. We're not looking to just we don't sit up day and night looking to be worshiped, but we got to call it what it is. Your people have ran this world for so long and they didn't know how to do so in a righteous manner. The reason being is because they don't have this spiritual connection with the one true creator. Our people do. So when you come and stand by us, when you come and listen to us and we show you how to keep these commandments, we show you how to stand beside us in culture, we show you how to worship our Allahayim as we do, then we can say, all right, we might give you a little bit more leeway here. Not too much because y'all get crazy, but we might give you a little bit more leeway just because we've tried you and you've shown to be proved as gold. So we'll give you a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? We're not finna sit here and say you an honorary Judite. Nah, that's not how that works. You know what I mean? But we will say, hey, look, this one's with us. So shout out Jake.
The only people that
Very
have
interesting,
discontinued from their
Tzaryach.
heritage is us. And you
No,
can
the
always
Jews were
tell
all-
when they
the
get a
Jew- we
little...
were-
I want y'all to listen to how he said to Tzaryach. He threw some ish people on the back of that. He put a little in there.
discontinued from their
Tzaryach.
heritage is us. And you
No,
can
the
always
Jews were
tell
all-
when they
the
get
Jew-
a
we
little
were
hot for
uprooted
him.
from-
we were
When he
uprooted from
interrupts. You can always tell
We're
when they
taking
get
to a
hot for
land
him.
far away. The Jews never
We
lost their
was taking-
heritage either. They
they
literally
never
lost their
heritage.
heritage. Don't know.
He just
like,
said
you don't know what
he
country.
could trace his back 5-6 generations to some Ashkenazi.
Thousands of years.
So how did you discontinue
I'll
if you
show
can
you.
trace it?
I'll
But
show
when
you.
you ask black people if they can trace
My
their
lineage, I
heritage,
could
they
trace
can't.
it back
Let me
and it
finish.
doesn't go to
Just let me finish.
Khazaria.
Let me finish. So now,
Khazaria.
That's not his point.
when it says you would discontinue from your heritage, we did. Our heritage was discontinued.
Okay, so maybe
we
you-
went into bondage
All
on
right.
ships. We were sold for bondmen and bondwomen. You guys were never sold for bondmen and bondwomen. We
Not
were
even a
never
little bit.
redeemed. You were redeemed when the
There
entire
was a
earth
thing,
went to
I'll
war
tell
for
you.
y'all. So how
There
do
wa-
you, if
I
if
will.
the Bible is true, and for our disobedience, the children of Israel gets punished for it, and you claim to be the children of Israel, how come we went through what you saying you are the people of?
I'll explain it
in
to
a
you.
land they know not. Yeah.
Yeah, just I
There's
want
another
to.
one.
Do you
This
understand
is
my
Deuteronomy
question?
28. There's another one.
So hold
Yeah,
on,
I'm trying to
before
find
let me
something. I'm
answer
gonna get
this
something
question.
to
Yeah,
Do you
let me
un-
answer.
Mind you, Jake just said, serve their enemies in a land they know not. In a land they know not. This was not our area when we were brought over here. Yes, there were some of us. Those are from the other tribes, the other 10 tribes that were over here already. Those who are called Native Americans, indigenous, they were over here already. Our people were clearly not from over here already because we were brought on ships. We are of the same nation, but we are not the same tribe. That's the difference. That's the difference. No, we are not some Africans. I say this all the time. You could put me beside a Ugandan, a Nigerian, an Ethiopian, a Somali, a Sudanese person. We all look different. We are not the same people. Their facial structure is different. Me and a Nigerian or Ugandan, they're taller, they're skinnier, they're darker skinned. We are not those people. We are not those people, nor have we ever been. So when we were brought over here, that is taking us into a land that we did not know. When did that ever happen to these other people? There's too many verses. People who want to die on the hill of these people being the people is because you've been brainwashed and they promote your sin. They allow for you to live in a world that continues to remain secular. But if you have to acknowledge that we are the people, well, then you have to adhere to what is true righteousness or Tzaryach. You have to then adhere to what it is the Most High tells us. And you got to listen. understanding that we were placed with the Torah, we were placed with the law because we know how to administer it. We were the ones. It's like puzzle pieces. You got Israel, you got the Jews, and you got the Torah. It's supposed to connect to them. You know what I mean? It's in our DNA. It's supposed to connect to us. On the other end, they'll argue it's in their DNA. But notice how from the beginning of this conversation, it's been all over the place. He's asking Oz, but also relates to King David somehow, but then also has a priestly bloodline as well too. None of this makes sense. They can trace their heritage thousands of years, as he stated out of his own mouth, but then also lost it somehow. Went through an atrocity nowhere near as big as what Scripture says would happen, but were also never taken across an ocean to another land, and then also redeemed, also brought back, put in a position that is higher than everyone else. We can all agree, my people ain't running these industries out here. So how does that work when it comes to your people and what Scripture prophesied about these people? I don't know. But I definitely want to hop back in. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get let me see here, a good idea of where we are leaving off, because I've been in here for a little bit. I think it's been an hour or so. I don't know how long specifically, but I do got a couple things I got to do. I did just want to hop in this stream real quick because I'm going to be doing it a lot more. I've made some promises to some people that I'm going to continue to keep doing this. So I plan to keep showing up. The next time that I will be live today is Saturday. The next day that I will be live will be Monday. So I'm be going live Monday. It'll be most likely after the sun goes down, most likely like 7, 8 o'clock. So be prepared. I'm gonna finish this up as well as a couple other videos and things I wanted to speak on. But I'm enjoying it. I enjoy the streams. I enjoy y'all who came in here and watched as well too. Again, just be on the lookout for more from us. Thank y'all so much for being in here. And we'll see y'all next time, man. Shalom.